tied to an ongoing court case, why did President Biden suggest that Kyle Rittenhouse, on trial in Kenosha, is a white supremacist?
So, Peter, what I'm not going to speak to right now is anything about an ongoing trial, nor the president's past comments. What I can reiterate for you is the president's view that we shouldn't have, broadly speaking, vigilantes patrolling our communities with assault weapons. We shouldn't have opportunists corrupting peaceful protests by rioting and burning down the communities they claim to represent anywhere in the country. As you know, closing arguments in this particular case, which I'm not speaking to, I'm just making broad comments about his own view. There's an ongoing trial. We're awaiting a verdict. Beyond that, I'm not going to speak to any individuals or this case.
But the president has spoken to it already. And his mom now, Kyle Rittenhouse's mom, came out saying that the president defamed her son, and that she claims that when the president suggested her son is a white supremacist, he was doing that to win votes. Is that what happened?
I just have nothing more to speak to an ongoing case where.
Guess we could start with that. This seemed to be a while ago. This is apparently the tweet here. So there's no way to put it. The president is an actual tweet. So there's no way to put it. Okay. There's no way to put it. The president of the United States refused to disavow white supremacy.
Are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared to specifically do it?
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it. You want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
Who would
white
you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by.
Yeah, so it looked like Biden. It's probably somebody. I mean, there's no way he wrote this. Biden can't even speak. But they threw a little picture of Kyle Rittenhouse in there. Obviously, that was supposed to rile tensions. He probably didn't do it intentionally at all, but somebody on the team definitely did. This is obviously to, charge people up. But that brings us to the actual content for the day, which is Kyle Rittenhouse, who was found not guilty on all counts. Now, people have been asking me for a while to cover the trial, this, that, and the other thing. I have not been particularly interested. Because I've already covered it a while ago. Like, from a moral perspective, I guess, here. It's right here. My take on Kyle Rittenhouse. This is from like a month ago. You can go here. You can watch that video. I would encourage you to watch the video. It's only 10 minutes long. But my general take is that I watched the videos on here. It should be in this video. And from what I saw, it seemed like self-defense. That's the reality. It seemed like he made a pretty reasonable effort to disengage from the violence. I do think that it was bizarre for a 17-year-old to be able to cross state lines and have a gun, or even just to have, who cares about crossing state lines, have a gun in general. But I think that reflects more on how poor our gun laws are than anything else. Realistically speaking, I think that there's just as much of a conversation to have about potentially Kyle Rittenhouse putting himself in the situation. Because it's possible that he went there to look for a fight, and using self-defense as like an excuse to cause violence. Also possible for the people that aggressed onto him to be using BLM as a shield to start violence. It seems like there is a lot going on. It seems like there's a lot of people weaponizing different particular, there seems to be people. I think that there's a trend of a lot of people, like I guess Antifa and whatnot, or white people in general, using BLM as an excuse to cause violence. I do fundamentally have a little bit of an issue with the fact that for the past year, the biggest BLM representation has been white people killing themselves. I think that is bizarre to me, that's the head of BLM for the past year. It's just bizarre. I don't know. It was uncomfortable that we've been focusing on talking about white people killing themselves when it comes to BLM issues. It seems like there were two parties. And you know, here's my thing. If we had better gun laws, Kyle Rittenhouse may not have been there. Or he may have been older. He may not have put himself in a situation where he would have needed to defend himself. We have conversations like this all the time when it comes to sexual assault, especially when it comes to women. And we tell them, this is the narrative, this is the realistic, pragmatic narrative, is that we teach young women to make sure that they don't walk alone or home alone at night. Because even if somebody aggresses onto them, it's not their fault, but we want to make sure that they keep themselves safe because we live in a world with shitty people. It's the same reason why we tell kids to look both ways before crossing the street at a crosswalk. Cars shouldn't hit them, but there are irresponsible people out there. And so it's possible that Kyle Rittenhouse could have done more to just not put himself in a situation where he could have been hurt in the first place. But those people that aggressed onto him also didn't have to put themselves in a situation where they would aggress onto him. I would encourage you to watch the video, watch my video. You can watch the shooting and whatnot. But I agree with the innocent verdict. The reason that I want to talk about this, though, isn't because of Kyle Rittenhouse. Because I don't really... Because, again, my biggest issue is that we've been talking about white people when it comes to BLM, you know? And my thing is that the Ahmaud Arbery case is going on right now. And this is the only reason I'm making this video, is because nobody really seems to give a shit. And I hope I'm saying his name right. Ahmaud Arbery. I don't know if I am. I'm sorry if I'm not. I'm sorry. But this is an actual situation. This needs to be like the face of the BLM conversation right now. So you have I believe he was 25-year-old black man in 2020 who was jogging on, my understanding, a pretty normal jogging path for him. He was somewhat of a regular in that area. And 3 white men here killed him because they said he might have been a person who robbed a fucking convenience store or something. It's incredible. They have no actual reasonable defense. Here's a video of them. You guys even saying here, I think this is the son of a man that shouldn't. I mean, Ahmaud Arbery should be alive in place of all 3 of these men. And he never. These I believe these 2 were in one car. He was in another car. They were trucks. They corralled the guy in. They cornered him, and then they shot him and killed him. They initiated a confrontation to justify murdering a man.
Yelled at you guys, and he never yelled at you guys, never threatened you at all?
No, ma'am. Yeah, he did not threaten me verbally. No, ma'am.
Didn't brandish any weapons?
No, ma'am.
I know people will be like, well, he didn't threaten me verbally. People be like, well, maybe he threatened him physically. Well, he would have, I imagine he would have clarified that there. He would have been like, oh, he didn't threaten you verbally, but maybe he made a gesture. Okay, well, if you're surrounded by people with guns, you know. Fundamentals apply. You have a cornered person with guns held to him. I would imagine he's not going to just sit there and take it. You know, life or death situation.
No, ma'am. Yeah, he did not threaten me verbally. No, ma'am.
Didn't brandish any weapons?
No, ma'am.
Didn't pull out any guns?
No, ma'am.
Didn't pull out any knife?
No, ma'am.
Never reached for anything, did he?
No.
He just ran?
Yes, he was just running.
Yeah.
And he never yelled at you guys?
Yeah, so this is the conversation we need to have. I believe this is an ex-police officer. I think that speaks volumes to the issue and just the issue that we have with police officers when it comes to black people, especially in southern states, more southern regressive states. I think it's bizarre that they were so comfortable because I think he was a former police officer, he was a former law enforcement officer. It's bizarre how comfortable he was, taking the law into his own hands and engaging in a situation. You'd think that a police officer would have better training than to create a situation that would cause somebody to get killed like that. It just feels like this is a very somewhat normal thing. I'm surprised the media even picked it up. I'm surprised anybody actually gave a shit because it feels like this could be something that happens somewhat frequently. But this is the conversation that we need to be having. This is the conversation we need to be having. The Kyle Rittenhouse situation is very loaded because there's a lot of different perspectives from different sides, and there's a lot of interpretation. You know, you have Kyle Rittenhouse, which is, of course, is a conservative poster child. It's a 17-year-old young man who crossed state lines to defend businesses from rioters and looters, right? Again, I don't think he should have been there, but he was legally allowed to be there. And then you have the other people who were there, who were possibly there, just as Kyle may have possibly been there, to utilize the situation to cause violence, waiting for a justifiable moment to strike for them to do something that was they couldn't have done otherwise, right? But this is the conversation that we need to have more than Kyle Rittenhouse. Realistically speaking, especially around BLM, we need to be having conversations about black people when it comes to Black Lives Matter. I don't think that's a particular hot take. I know people are talking about Kyle Rittenhouse 2 weeks before said he wanted to potentially kill somebody or something, for sure. But you know, I watched this specific video of him, and it was self-defense from what I saw. I just want to tell you, you know, we could talk about, you know, his history of saying dumb shit. We could talk about the history of the people that he killed. That apparently one of them was apparently a sex offender. Yeah, I mean, this is the conversation that we need to have. And I know that making this video, people are going to have a fucking, like, they're not going to be particularly happy with my take on Kyle Rittenhouse in either direction. They're going to be upset. They maybe I'll lose followers, but hopefully, because the actual main focus of this is, so let's start caring about this case. The trials are going on right now. Let's talk about Ahmaud Arbery, and I hope I'm saying that right, because that actually matters more than Kyle Rittenhouse. So let's keep that in mind. Yeah. What about the video of Kyle 2 weeks before the shooting saying if he had a rifle he would shoot looters? I don't care. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm not surprised that conservatives talking about shooting looters, people who committing crimes. Like, looters are criminals. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Looters and rioters take away from the BLM protests, which are supposed to be advocation for black rights. Like I said, there seems to be an issue with people. From what I see, a lot of white people going to BLM riots to cause problems. They go to these BLM riots. They say, "I like black people," and they might actually care about black issues. But then they get very aggressive and violent, and they exacerbate a problem. And whether you want to hear this or not, would be a white privilege. Is white saviors going into situations and exacerbating violence or encouraging violence in some capacity, encouraging rowdiness. Because they can deal with the rowdiness because they're white, and the black people there can't because they will get disproportionately negatively impacted by it. Yeah, I don't know. It's, you know, let's focus on this. Let's focus on a black man who was unjustifiably murdered by 3 racist pieces of shit instead of, like, the white people killing each other. It just makes more sense to me. It suggests he had premeditation before he killed those 2 men, which would trash his defense. No, not really. No. If, again, they attacked him. I don't know. I don't know what to tell. I mean, like, I think you're looking into it a lot. I get it, but they quite literally aggressed onto him, and he showed a pretty reasonable amount of restraint. I think that's something that we need to consider more, because we're kind of ignoring that factor. Oh. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. I have quite a bit of shit to talk about today. The sneeze too. Our society's disregard for human life over property is dystopian. Aside from all our biases looking at it from the truth, nobody deserves to die. I don't think that's true at all. People deserve to die. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but, like, you have to understand that some of these businesses are black-owned businesses that people are destroying. Saying that it's for protesting, but really it's just to cause violence. And so a property quite literally can be life or death. If you lose your ability to feed your family, you die. It's pretty common. It's the reality of the world. You know, we could sit here and say, like, oh, we should value people over property, for sure. But we should also keep in mind that they shouldn't be destroying property in the first place. Is it self-defense for a school shooter to kill people grabbing for his gun? What are you talking about? Who cares? A school shooter is somebody who goes into a school shooting people. Are you trying to say that? All right, I'll bite. Are you saying that Kyle Rittenhouse in this analogy is the school shooter? You're being very condescending considering how very ignorant you are. But yeah, are you trying to compare Kyle Rittenhouse to a school shooter? Is that what you're trying to do? I'll engage with the conversation just because, like, I've no problem with it. Like, go ahead. Win for your answer. Because I think that it's very dishonest to equate Kyle Rittenhouse to a school shooter. I don't know what to tell you. When people were aggressing onto him, the first person he shot was trying to hurt him. I mean, that's not a school shooter. You think that everyone who broke into the Capitol should have been shot? Where do you draw the line? Life isn't more important than anything. If life was more important than anything, then we wouldn't be pro-life or pro-choice. It's first and foremost. Life. Well, if you guys like to pretend life is very important, also, I think that people who broke into the Capitol building should have definitely been arrested. I think the people who were shot, I don't care about them. They broke into the Capitol. I'm not saying it's the exact same, but if they thought he killed in cold blood, okay, but he didn't kill in cold blood. So, wait, so they. Do you think Kyle Rittenhouse killed in cold blood? Because he didn't kill somebody in cold blood. He killed somebody who aggressed onto him. Other people not understanding the situation doesn't mean that Kyle should have to forfeit his life. That original person shouldn't have threatened his life in the first place to cause him to get shot by Kyle out of self-defense. I understand what you're saying. Other people have different interpretations of the situation, but that doesn't mean that that individual has to give up their autonomy. That's like saying if a woman is raped and she shoots her rapist, and then other people think that she just murdered somebody in cold blood, she shouldn't be able to defend herself. That's basically the same story that you're giving me. He wanted to shoot somebody and get away with it, and he was given an opportunity. We don't really know. It's an assumption that you're making. It's totally possible Kyle Rittenhouse went there looking for a fight, looking for a justifiable reason to shoot somebody. It's also possible that, like, Rosenbaum went there trying to use BLM as a justifier for his violence. We're making assumptions that we can't prove. We can say that same assumption about every party, that each party was trying to utilize their particular rhetorical whatever perspective to justify violence.